The medium-sized hatchback segment is a busy one. There's a lot of competition, with the Ford Focus and the Volkswagen Golf being the best sellers. There's one car that I think gets overlooked quite often, and that's the Alfa Romeo Giulietta. It's recently been updated to make it more competitive in the segment, and there's now more equipment, some upgrades to the interior, more efficient engines, and some mild exterior updates. Thankfully, they haven't done too much to the outside of the car because it's absolutely beautiful as it is. There's a real sense of drama about that sculpted profile and that quirky offset number plate and V-shaped grille. Now let's see what it's like inside. Inside, the cabin of the Giulietta feels very classy and very posh. Alfa have updated some of the materials and trims used in here. There's a new steering wheel design. There's also this touchscreen that now comes standard across the range. It's very easy to use, and I found it easy to pair up my phone to it. Everything's very well laid out, and all the dials and switches are easy to find and use. There's also some new seats, which I can confirm are very comfortable. It's spacious up here in the front of the cabin. In the rear, the space is good as well, but I did notice that the rear doors don't open all that wide, and I don't think space in the rear is class leading. Again, the boot is 350 litres, which is not the biggest boot in the class, but it's perfectly adequate. But there is a high load lip, so it's not the most practical of boots. The Giulietta is really nice and enjoyable to drive out on the road. It's very smooth and the brakes are really good. That really sticks out for me. The steering is lighter in town and then it weights up when you get out onto the open road. Now, I think the steering is really good. It's very fast, it's very direct. You can feel your wheels are, and it mates really well to the handling because this car just handles so well. It's so taut, there's so much grip and very little body roll. Now, the model I'm driving is the exclusive trim model, so it has a sport suspension as standard, and of course there's also those lovely 17-inch alloy wheels. But it's still very comfortable. There are 4 engines to choose from. There are 2 1.4 litre turbocharged petrol engines, one with 120 brake horsepower and the other with 170 brake horsepower, which is meant to be heavenly. Then there are 2 diesels. There's a new 2 litre 150 brake horsepower diesel, and then there's a 1.6 unit with 105 brake horsepower, and that's the engine that's in this car. The 1.6 litre diesel in this car is very good too. It's quite punchy, it's refined, and it's also economical. CO2 emissions are 104 grams per kilometre, so you'll pay €190 per annum or per year to tax it. All cars come with Alfa's DNA system, which stands for, well, D stands for dynamic, N stands for normal, and A for all weather. And basically, whatever setting you put it in, it alters the throttle and the steering setup. So you can put it into dynamic if you want a little bit of fun, as I'm going to do now, and you just feel this little surge of power, and it just takes off. It's kind of cool. The driving position is a little bit odd in the Giulietta. took me a while to get comfortable in here. I think it's designed for people with long arms and short legs. I've got the short legs, but I don't have the long arms. But there is lots of adjustment in the steering wheel and in the seat, so you will get there eventually. Another annoying thing about the cabin is the armrest for the driver. It's basically obsolete because when you have it in the down position to rest your arm on, you can't access the handbrake properly. So it's a little bit useless in that regard. Something else that's a little bit strange is that there's no footrest for your left foot when you take it off the clutch. You usually find that in most cars. Now it doesn't bother me because I usually just put my foot on the floor anyway. But if you're the kind of person who likes to rest your foot on a footrest when you take it off the clutch, then this is not the car for you. There are 3 trim levels: progression, distinctive and exclusive. On the progression trim you get alloy wheels, electric windows, aircon, LED daytime running lights, and of course the touchscreen. But if you want fog lamps, parking sensors and cruise control, you have to go up to distinctive trim. Of course, we can't talk about you spending your money on an Alfa Romeo without talking about reliability. But thankfully, quality has improved over recent years, and all Alfa Romeos sold in Ireland come with a 5-year warranty. So I've driven the Giulietta. I like it, and I think you'll like it too. It might not be the most practical of hatchbacks, but the upgrades have made it much more competitive in the segment. If you're looking for a 5-door hatchback, you might be thinking of a Volkswagen Golf or a Ford Focus, or maybe even a Peugeot 308 or Honda Civic. They're all very good cars and you'll be very happy with your decision. But if you want something that's sexy with real Italian flair, then you really need to check out the Giulietta.